Red Hot Gotsy, come subscribe, come subscribe, come subscribe, come subscribe.
I feel like Robby would be training with, obviously he would be training with Johnny since that he was part of Cobra Kai season 1. So he'd be training with his dad. They would talk about, they would have like troubles like they did in season 1, but they would soon, start to, grow as people and start to, reunite again. And, Johnny actually gets to talk to his son, actually have time to hang out with his son. And I think that's one of the biggest things that could have changed the whole series. This is them talking and trying to, just understand each other and stuff like that. It would have made it very interesting. But, what we got was also very interesting as well. Kind of the dynamic where they kind of hated each other, or at least Robby hated him. But, it would just create such a father and son dynamic if they actually were to reunite and, actually he would train under Johnny. Red, I got you, red, I got you, red, I got you. Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about, Cobra Kai, and, basically, kind of one of my, little, not theories, but, like, kind of like a what if. So, we're going to be talking about if Robby Keene, was basically Miguel Diaz in, Cobra Kai seasons 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to be talking about all the seasons and basically just talking about what if Robby was in the same positions. He had to make the same decisions and stuff like that. So let's just get started. Let's just talk about, I guess first off, talking about Cobra Kai itself. Now, Cobra Kai, Robby would already be in Cobra Kai, so he would, be training there, training with, like Hawk and stuff like that. He would probably be friends with him already. They would probably have, not the same, values and stuff like that. They wouldn't agree on everything. Just like Miguel and Hawk already don't. Hawk is a little more hardcore, I guess you could say. He kind of became the bully kind of figure in season 2. While Miguel is more of a kind-hearted kind of guy. He kind of became a little bit of a bully in season 1, but he reverted back to his natural state, just being a cool dude overall. So yeah. Hawk was just kind of blinded with power, so, that's kind of how that happened. But anyway, put that aside, Robby would be friends with him the same way, Miguel was, I'd say. Just to make it, like, even, just to make it kind of similar. They would be prepping for the tournament, the season 1 tournament. You know what I mean? I would say Robby would, have, interactions with Sam, but overall, like, Miguel would probably be with Sam, during season 1, and I feel like a situation where Robby was, I feel like Daniel would train Miguel in that season, and since Miguel and Daniel are kind of similar in some ways, they're basically kind of like the main characters in a way, or at least in the original, like Daniel and Miguel are very similar, so I feel like they would be a good matchup. Plus, Miguel would still be with Sam, so I think that's kind of a good matchup as well. So, yeah, they would be prepping for the tournament together, and it's kind of like Miguel is the new Daniel, in a way. Like, literally, since he's going to be a miyagido. I think what would be pretty interesting is if Miguel, actually became an a-hole kind of more in season 1, like earlier, and because he was such a jerk, right, maybe Sam would kind of not really, she would be with him, but she wouldn't really really have that attraction, that love for him like she does in like seasons 1 and 2 somewhat, you know what I mean? Oh, seasons 1 and 3, yeah. So I feel like that would make it very interesting to where, like, Robby would be flirting with Sam every now and then, but, Miguel would get jealous, obviously, you know what I mean, because, he's, like, the jerk of the two, so, like, because he's kind of, basically, like, put it in your mind, like, season 1 Miguel in, like, the finale when he, like, basically targeted Robby's injury and stuff like that. He was kind of an a-hole during the tournament, so just kind of put that in your mind, and that's basically what he is throughout the season. So she'll kind of develop an attraction for Robby. The whole fight happens where Miguel hits Sam by accident. That whole thing happens again, basically. And then they break up, and then Robby doesn't get with Sam in my version, I would say. Like, he like doesn't want to get with her because he kind of like feels bad or something like that, or maybe he just feels like it's kind of too distracting to be with her because he has to prep for the tournament, right? And he's like his father is basically putting in his head, oh, Miyagido's evil, like basically like kind of what he did with Miguel. Oh, Miyagido's evil, don't associate with them because they're gonna f up your mind and stuff like that. So he doesn't get with Sam. I think that's very interesting because it's like, she likes him, but he doesn't like her. Instead of Sam and Miguel just like each other, and it's this whole like true love kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think that kind of dynamic is a little bit better because Miguel's pissed because his girl likes Robby's enemy, and but he doesn't like her. Well, he kind of, I would say Robby doesn't not like her. It's just, his dad is kind of like getting in the way of that. And Daniel's trying to, keep Miguel calm, trying to, help him focus on the tournament. I think that would just be very interesting. Also, for anyone who's wondering, I'm still going to keep the Sam and Tori rivalry just because, it was so interesting in season 2. I think going into season 3, I guess, it was still pretty good. So I would say that's staying, you know what I mean, just because it's really good. In my version, I would say Miguel still gets with Tori in season 2, so they meet each other in Miyagido, and Tori's kind of still that rough kind of character where she's kind of rough around the edges, but she has a good heart. Kind of how you would see it, or some people would see it in season 2, but I would say she's a lot kinder of a person. You know what I mean? She kind of has like that same kind of look with her hair and stuff like that, and kind of the clothes she wears, but she's just a lot nicer overall. I would say Hawk and Dimitri are roughly the same throughout the series, except when Hawk actually, for example, at the point in season 2 where he steals like the amulet or something like that Miyagi had, the Miyagi like amulet or necklace or whatever. What was it? Yeah, it was something like that. He stole something from Miyagido or whatever, and he basically like trashes the dojo still. Miguel and Daniel are pissed. Daniel still drives over to the to cobrakai, yells at Johnny and stuff like that. People leave and they go to Miyagido, yeah, yada yada yada. But basically the point is, since Hawk did that, right, Robby will eventually find out, whoop his ass and then take the thing back. But before that happens, Sam is gonna break up with Robby because she thinks that they were basically like he was behind her or something like that, or Robby was encouraging him, stealing the amulet from Miyagi and Daniel and stuff like that, since that is her father and stuff like that. So I think that would be very interesting, and create a weird, kind of cool dynamic where, his father is still, kind of he's gonna have more of a "I told you so" kind of aspect of it. Like, he's not actually gonna outwardly say it, but he's gonna try to comfort him and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't, hang around those the people in Miyagido students and Daniel and stuff like that. And Robby's gonna try to. He's actually gonna like listen to him more so, but he's gonna be sad that Sam broke up with him. While I would say like Daniel would be even more pissed than he was in season 2. And yeah, that's basically the premise of that. And Miguel would eventually see Sam, and they would talk a little bit and have a little kiss, just like they had in like, what was it, episode 9. And Tori would still see that, and basically sets that up. Now basically roughly everything that happens in the school fight happens again, roughly maybe some changes. Like honestly, Stingray, I'm not the biggest fan of, but he can be there, I guess. Hawk is still Hawk. We all love him. Dimitri's there. He is fighting Hawk. But and yeah, Sam is still fighting Tori, but they're more so fighting over But yeah, they're basically fighting roughly the same. Sam is more so on Miguel's side, and Tori is just, well, Tori's not even really. She's with Miguel, so she's gonna be pissed. It's kind of like the same thing. Basically, everything that happened in the school fight happens again. You know what I mean? With the Robby and Miguel fight, except when Robby actually will get a hold of Miguel. It's kind of like Miguel's gonna win the fight, basically the same way he did, and pin down Robby, but then he's gonna spare him, kind of like I'll say, like, in the earlier in the season, Daniel's gonna say, and this makes more sense. Daniel's gonna say, since Miguel's kind of more of a rougher version of Miguel in this series, my version, I would say Daniel would say that you got to be a lot less harsh. You gotta become more of a calmer person, stuff like that. You have to show mercy every now and then, stuff like that. Basically, the way Johnny put it, in that scene. And then basically Miguel, for the first time, actually did something, and he was actually a good person. He actually spared Robby. And then Robby is gonna like flip him or kick him or do some bull crap, and basically Robby is gonna break Miguel's arm. He's gonna put him basically in the same position and break his arm. So instead of like kicking him or some crap, he's just like off the railing. He's just gonna do basically what Miguel was gonna do to him. I think that's a good way to put it. Instead of him almost killing him, it would make my version a little bit different from the actual, like, the series, and it would kind of make it so that it's still that kind of undetermined kind of they both are kind of in the wrong, instead of it being like a one-sided, since you already feel like Miguel's kind of an a-hole, since throughout the whole series he's kind of just this jerk who we never really fully liked, because he always did dumb crap, and it would kind of be like that, while Robby's kind of just trying his best. He's part of cobrakai. He's trying to just be the best person. He's Miguel, so yeah. So basically, Robby's gonna basically have the same treatment as Sam, where they're both gonna get like suspended for however long. I think it was like 2 weeks or something, I don't know. However long Sam got suspended, Robby's gonna get a little bit more than that. Like, if it was like 2 weeks, he's gonna get like, I'll just say he gets double. So he gets like a month, I'll say. So he basically gets like a worse punishment than like anyone besides Tori, I'd say. Because Tori's basically gonna have still like probation and stuff like that. So she's not in school. She got expelled. Robby's basically still in the school. Miguel's still in the school, and Sam. It's just they're all like suspended. But Tori's the only one out of school, since she started the damn fight. So yeah, I think it kind of makes sense in that way. So yeah, that's basically the same as season 3. Miguel is recovering from his injury, except it's just the arm injury instead of almost death. So and then Sam and Robby are basically Sam is basically the same punishment basically, and Robby's just getting a little bit worse than that. When it comes to Daniel and Johnny, I would say that basically it's roughly the same. He goes to Okinawa, meets Chosen, gets that new technique or whatever. I really don't care. It's like it doesn't really affect the whole dynamic with Miguel, Sam, Tori, and Robby. So I would say like roughly all of that. Sam, or not Sam, Carmen, and like Al, like all that is it's the goddamn same, because I don't really care. Miguel starts to slowly he starts to get with Sam again, basically the same as season 3, where they start to basically remember all the good times they had, before she got with Robby, and she starts to feel bad for him. And Miguel's starting to become somewhat of a better person. He's starting to realize that all the things he did in the past weren't so good, you know, that he needs to change. But he still has a burning hatred for Robby for, you know, breaking his arm. So he kind of has that realization, that kind of self-reflection of like, yeah, I need to change things, you know, so he can be with Sam. And Robby basically is prepping for the tournament, or a tournament, you know, kind of seeing what's gonna happen with that. But before before that happens, I would say Robby actually gets with Tori. Um, you know, so they slowly, you know, start to build kind of a connection as Tori, you know, doesn't like Miguel anymore. She hates him. Kind of like that kind of resentment she had from him in season 3, somewhat like after they talked, except it's gonna be worse than this. So she's gonna move to Cobra Kai, you know, since she already is kind of built for that. You know, she fits Cobra Kai a lot better. So her and Robby are gonna build this connection like they did in the series, except they're gonna eventually, you know, kiss. They're gonna kiss and stuff like that, and like they're actually gonna get together. I'd say during this season. Just to make it easier, just give the people they want, because I already know people want them to be together, so I would just do it. Screw it. So, and since it was since she showed up in like season 2 and it's like more this rougher character and stuff like that, I think it just works. Except I think I would take advantage of Robby being like, you know, more of a better person, not really having to deal with the screwed up parts of life that he had to deal with like in the series. So he's more of like in Miguel's shoes. So he's like a, I guess, nicer ish. I guess a nicer person is the best way I could put it. And more that kind-hearted soul, where Tori kind of is she's kind of lost that, you know, she had at one point, and then she kind of lost it because, you know, family trouble. She still has the same family troubles that she had in the series, in the original. So I'll just keep that, and it kind of makes that kind of, you still have that dynamic where it's like opposites attract too. So I think I would take advantage of it, and, you know, it would be very interesting. You know, I would say I'll just, you know, skip to the tournament and say that, you know, the crowd is raging and stuff like that. You know, it's tournament time. Basically, I would kind of set up the same way the season 1 happened. You know, I would just, you know, have a couple different, you know, karate places basically just fighting each other, you know, having their different students and stuff like that, like Xander, kind of like how he was implemented, and he would fight like a, well, it's not gonna be exactly Xander. Maybe he will come back, maybe he won't, I don't know, but it'll be like different people. And I would say maybe like Sean will be there, but like Robby and Sean don't know each other. Or maybe like, actually no. I feel like what would be more interesting if Robby actually made friends with Sean, because he joined Cobra Kai, which he might do anyway. And he actually kind of, I'm thinking about a lot of this off the spot. That's kind of why I'm like, you know, flip flopping. But like, I think what would be interesting if Sean actually joined Cobra Kai, and during season 3, and they kind of, you know, became friends and stuff like that, and come tournament time, he actually you know, fights in the tournament as well. Basically throughout the whole series or the season, Miguel is basically just having his recovery, and, you know, he's trying to, you know, be able to use his arm again, while still going to school and just, you know, doing everyday things, you know, hanging out with Sam and stuff, having a great time. Daniel's trying to help him through it because he feels bad for letting him go through that and not really being able to help. Then, you know, Amanda, you know, tells him to basically just go out and have fun, and, you know, go on a little vacation. Well, not have fun, more so clear his mind, I'd say. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. So that's when he goes to Okinawa. And it'll be like around, what, 4 and 5, like it happened in the series. So yeah, and then Amanda's basically there for Miguel, and, you know, that whole thing. I would say Sean would end up winning some fights. I would say he would win against Hawk, and then he would, or not Hawk, Dimitri, I mean, God, freaking dumb. He would win against Dimitri and, you know, all these other people, and then end up losing to Miguel. which honestly, let's keep it a buck here. That would actually happen. Yeah. Don't at me, but like, yeah, that would happen, and then it would come up to it'll come down to Robby versus Miguel. So that would be the last fight, and basically the crowd is raging, rooting for Robby, and basically, it's just they're going crazy since he won the last tournament, and basically it's just the whole thing. Sam is obviously, with Miguel, back with Miguel, after he basically redeemed himself, quote unquote, and then Tori is with Robby. So that's the whole thing. Johnny and Daniel obviously with their respective dojos. So yeah, Daniel's with Miguel and Johnny's with his son. So basically they're fighting, duking it out. Robby's getting some good hits. Miguel is also doing holding his own. But then basically, eventually Robby can't keep up as much, and he's kind of struggling. Miguel's actually doing very well since what was it? Daniel taught him some new tricks. Robby's about to lose, but then he does some sort of maneuver. I really don't have a strategy in mind in terms of what he would actually do. But basically, he would just get the upper hand and actually win the fight eventually. Barely. So he actually wins 2 of the All Valleys. So I think that would be very interesting. Because then it's like Sam is just very upset. Sad for Miguel. Miguel was super pissed. That he won or he lost two times to well, technically 3. If you count, him getting his arm broken, but I don't count that. I don't even count, him kicking off the railing as a win. So yeah, he lost twice to him. Got his arm broken. He stole his girlfriend. He stole Sam at one point. So Miguel is pissed. And so after the tournament, after they Tori and Johnny are gonna celebrate, Miguel's basically pissed and he strikes Robby outside of the tournament, and Robby like falls on the floor and stuff, and Johnny's there with Tori, so like he's like, hey, what are you doing? And then like Daniel also runs out with Sam, and it's basically like a whole thing where they're all there, and like Miguel's like pissed, and he's like trying to like just freaking mess up Robby, and then Robby gets up, trips him, like kicks him, and like he like trips him and stuff like that, and then they basically just start fighting and stuff like that. And I think that would be really cool, because like it was different from what actually happened in the season, like very much different, since Robby was he was in Cobra Kai, and Johnny was against Kreese, so he wasn't part of Cobra Kai. So since they're on the same team, I think Miguel would strike Robby, and then they would start fighting, and then Daniel would try to chime in, but then Johnny would like, no, leave him alone. Then they would start fighting, and then Sam and Tori would start fighting. I just think it would be awesome. It's like a 3v3 basically, So I think that would be a cool spectacle. Basically like a one shot, just like how they did with the LaRusso fight, and I think it would be interesting. Hawk, I don't think Hawk would have his redemption arc. I think Hawk would just stay on Robby's side, since in this version they're still friends and stuff like that. So Dimitri is basically Dimitri and Hawk aren't gonna fight because they're not aware of all this. So it's basically just like a 3v3, and then yeah. Basically, what I would say is, Daniel and Johnny would be fighting, and basically the conclusion to that is, well, I would say like the fight would be pretty even, kind of like what happened in season 2, the ends. They'd be getting their licks in, it's pretty even. Daniel basically does the legendary kick. He kind of kicks him in the face, kind of like how they implemented a kick in the actual fight. I mean, not like the same way where he like has his hands up, the same formation, but kind of gets old, kicking. Get some jabs. It's basically pretty even until Johnny kind of stops the fight. He's like, hey, stop this. What are we doing? We're adults. We shouldn't be doing this. So Johnny's actually the one who stops the fight. And, since I would say he's more level-headed in this one. And, yeah. And then like with Sam and Tori, I would say Tori's basically about to kill Sam because she has like this I don't know. Let's say she's just about to like strangle her or something like that. You know, since she doesn't really have a weapon, I would say she doesn't have the bracelet this time, so she's just trying to strangle her because there's no nunchucks. You know, they're not in the LaRusso house and stuff like that. So she's trying to strangle her. She's like pissed. Um, and then Sam gets the upper hand. Defeats her just like every single time they freaking fight in the series. And that ends that fight as well. Now with Robby and Miguel, I'll say, Robby is, he's tired out. He's trying to really fight against, Miguel, but Miguel's just fired up. He's pissed. He has all this adrenaline stuff like that, and he just goes in, man. I would just say Miguel would just be beating the crap out of Robby and just punching him, kicking him. He would just be destroying him until he's all bloodied up, kind of like how Miguel was in season 3. At the end, and he just like bloodied up. Except it's gonna be worse, and it's just horrific. Like he going to be going like ape, like he gonna be going ape crap. Like he's basically gonna give him the Brooks treatment, kind of like how Hawk fought his bully. He fought Brooks, right? He's basically going to be going ham like that, except like way worse. You actually going to see Miguel all just bloodied up and just effed up, and basically it's just going to be bad. And then Robby gets at the point or no, Miguel gets at the point where he's about to kill Robby, right? And he just gets him in his position, right? But then he kind of thinks about it. He's like, he remembers, all the things he's learned and all he's learned this in this season about being a better person, stuff like that. And then he thinks about Sam. He looks at Daniel and stuff like that, and he lets him go. So he lets him go, and he just keeps him laying on the ground. Robby's just beat up. He can barely move, like at all. He just kind of like, you know what I mean? So he's just like really badly injured, and Miguel just lets him go. He just walks away. And then I would say Johnny, runs up to his son. He's like, "Oh my God, what happened? What did he do?" And then, he's just like horrified. And Daniel's like, "I'm sorry." And then, Johnny like lashes out at him, and Daniel tries to run after Miguel, but Miguel starts running, and he runs away. Sam is horrified, and basically it's just the whole thing, and that's basically how it ends. I'd say, in the end, the next day, Robby, or the next whatever, Robby's just, still injured, still effed up. And, I'd say, Sam kind of, goes up to him, and she kind of like feels bad. She's like, "I'm sorry, and I'm sorry all this happened. I'm sorry he did that to you." And he kind of says, "Okay, it's all right. I forgive you." And they kind of agree to just leave each other alone and stuff like that, and they kind of part ways. Tori basically, they're still kind of cool, but Robby says, "I kind of need some space, and I think that we should break up and stuff like that." And I'm saying this because I think maybe during the fight he sees that Tori tried to like kill Sam, so, and then she got the upper hand, and he's just not really messing with her anymore, so he just lets her go and just breaks up with her, basically. At least for now, he just he can't be around her right now, and he makes friends. He just kind of, yeah, that's basically it. He kind of has that closure with Sam, so basically Miguel is just alone. He still lives at Daniel's house and stuff like that, and he oh yeah, I didn't mention that yet. They basically lives at Daniel's house. kind of like how Robby was at Daniel's, that whole thing. And I'll just say like or I'll say like he still has like Carmen and stuff like that. Carmen's still his mother and stuff, but I'll say he basically is always at Daniel's, and he kind of lives there in a way. And he kind of just doesn't see Daniel for a while. He kind of just stays at home with Carmen, and he's just kind of sad. Just he wants to quit karate and stuff like that. And he just can't handle it anymore, and maybe it's just best that he takes a break or just leaves entirely. The whole karate thing. Daniel feels bad for letting him go that far, his student. Because in his mind he'll be thinking that old saying that everyone is talking about. There is no such thing as a bad student but a bad teacher. So he's gonna be thinking about that. Think about, because maybe, I don't know, he said it in the beginning of the series, or he heard it and he kind of reflects on it. He's like, oh man, I really messed up. Johnny is trying to care for Robby. He's just he feels bad for letting him get beat up like that and get really hurt, and he should have been there for him, yada yada yada. Robby's like, nah, it's fine. The same way he did with Sam, reconcile, but he realizes maybe he needs to take a break from karate as well. Yeah. And yeah, that's basically everything I have to say. That's basically what kind of my thoughts on what would happen if Robby Keene became Miguel Diaz in Cobra Kai seasons 1, 2, and 3. So come and subscribe, come subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'm gonna be making more videos. I'm not gonna promise when. I'm just gonna try to make these. I'm gonna try to make them more edited, and try to add more effects or something like that into them. I'm gonna try to lower the length and probably make more like actual like other content and stuff like that, rather than just Cobra Kai, like, I don't know, Marvel or something like that. I'm trying to make other stuff. I'm still going to stick with Marvel though. Like, I still have to talk about, I talked about WandaVision, right? I'm going to talk about like Falcon the Winter Soldier and stuff like that, because that is still pretty interesting. The series is about to end potentially in like 1 or 2 weeks once the episodes are done. So yeah, or the season. So yeah, comment, subscribe, like for that. Hope you like this. Just a little idea, this kind of whatever, and yeah, peace.
Red Hot Gotsy, come subscribe, come subscribe, come subscribe, come subscribe.